Heart of the Beast official trailer 1 crash. One man, one dog, and a wilderness that seems determined to destroy them both. But what if the frozen mountains are not the real enemy? What if the greatest battle waiting for Brad Pitt's character is something he brought with him long before the plane ever went down? The new Heart of the Beast trailer has finally arrived, and hidden inside its survival story are clues, mysteries, and emotional twists that could make this one of the most intense films of 2026. And the deeper you look into this trailer, the more it feels like there is a story far bigger than simple survival. At first glance, Heart of the Beast looks like a classic survival thriller. A man is stranded in the middle of nowhere after a devastating plane crash. The weather is brutal. The landscape is unforgiving. Help is nowhere in sight. But almost immediately, the trailer hints that this movie wants to be much more than that. Brad Pitt plays James Belmont, a former Special Forces officer whose life appears to have already been shaped by difficult experiences long before he finds himself trapped in the Alaskan wilderness. After a catastrophic crash leaves him isolated from civilization, the only companion he has left is Odin, a loyal combat dog who served beside him in the past. Together, they face a world that feels completely indifferent to whether they survive or not. What makes the trailer so interesting is the way it slowly builds tension without giving away too much. Instead of focusing only on action, it creates a feeling of uncertainty. Every moment seems to ask the same question: how long can a person keep fighting when everything around them is working against them? The wilderness in this film does not feel like a simple location. It feels like a living obstacle. The mountains, the snow, the freezing temperatures, and the endless isolation all become part of the challenge. And yet, the trailer suggests that James Belmont may be carrying something even heavier than the environment around him. One of the biggest takeaways from the footage is the relationship between James and Odin. Many survival films focus on a single hero fighting impossible odds. But Heart of the Beast appears to build its emotional core around trust, loyalty, and companionship. Odin is not just a dog traveling beside the main character, he feels like an extension of James himself. Their shared military history creates a connection that immediately raises the emotional stakes. The trailer repeatedly hints that both of them have already survived difficult situations together before. Whatever happened during their years of service seems to have created a bond that goes far beyond simple friendship. And that is where the mystery starts becoming even more interesting. Why does the trailer spend so much time focusing on their connection? Why does it feel as though the survival journey is also forcing James to confront parts of his past? The movie appears to be exploring themes of trauma, resilience, and redemption. James is fighting nature, but he may also be fighting memories he has never fully escaped. The further he moves through the wilderness, the more it seems like he is being pushed toward a personal reckoning. Another detail that immediately stands out is the reunion between Brad Pitt and director David Ayer. Their previous collaboration delivered intense emotional storytelling under extreme circumstances, and Heart of the Beast appears to be following a similar path. But this time, the battlefield has been replaced by one of the harshest environments imaginable. Instead of enemies with weapons, the threat comes from nature itself. Every step forward feels dangerous. Every decision feels critical. Every mistake could be fatal. The trailer also introduces the feeling that not everyone James encounters can automatically be trusted. While details remain limited, there are brief hints that other characters may play important roles in his struggle. J.K. Simmons and Anna Lamb are part of the cast, but the trailer carefully avoids revealing exactly how their stories connect to James' desperate journey. That secrecy only creates more curiosity. Are they allies? Are they survivors themselves? Or do they represent something completely unexpected waiting further down the path? By the end of the trailer, one thing becomes clear. Heart of the Beast is not simply about getting home. It is about discovering what remains when everything familiar is stripped away. No technology, no safety, no certainty, just a man, a dog, and a relentless fight against impossible odds. And if the trailer is hiding even half of what the full story contains, then this survival thriller could end up delivering far more emotional depth than audiences are expecting. But the biggest questions are still unanswered. What really caused James Belmont to be in that plane? What personal demons is he trying to outrun? And why does it feel like the wilderness is forcing him toward a truth he can no longer avoid? As we dig deeper into the cast, hidden story clues, and the secrets buried inside this trailer, things only become more intense. Now, the deeper we go into Heart of the Beast, the more it becomes clear that this is not just a survival story. In fact, survival may only be the surface layer of what the movie is really trying to tell us. Hidden beneath the snow, danger, and isolation is a character-driven journey that could become one of the most emotional and intense stories Brad Pitt has delivered in years. And when you start connecting the clues from the trailer, a much bigger picture begins to emerge. One of the most fascinating aspects of the film is James Belmont himself. The trailer introduces him as a former Special Forces soldier, but it carefully avoids explaining what happened after his military career. That missing information immediately creates mystery. Usually when a trailer leaves out major parts of a character's past, there is a reason. The filmmakers clearly want audiences to keep asking questions. What happened to James before the crash? Why does he seem so emotionally distant at certain moments? And why does it feel like he is carrying guilt that has been following him for years? Throughout the trailer, there are several moments where James appears to be fighting more than physical exhaustion. His expressions often suggest someone wrestling with memories that refuse to disappear. This has led many viewers to believe that the wilderness journey may actually mirror his internal struggle. Every obstacle he faces could represent another step toward confronting a painful chapter of his life. If that turns out to be true, then Heart of the Beast may be using survival as a metaphor for healing. And then there is Odin. The more you analyze the trailer, the more important Odin becomes. Most survival movies treat animal companions as supporting characters, but here, Odin feels absolutely central to the story. The bond between James and his combat dog appears to be the emotional heartbeat of the entire film. Their connection is built on loyalty, trust, and years of shared experience. They understand each other without needing words. In many scenes, Odin seems to sense danger before it arrives, while James relies on the dog not only for protection, but also for emotional strength. What makes this relationship so powerful is the possibility that Odin represents the last remaining link to the life James once knew. After the crash, everything familiar disappears. The outside world is gone, civilization is gone, the future becomes uncertain. But Odin remains. That loyalty could become the one thing preventing James from completely losing hope. At the same time, the trailer constantly reminds viewers that survival will not come easily. The Alaskan wilderness is presented almost like an unstoppable force. Every environment shown feels dangerous. Every landscape seems designed to test human limits. The cold is relentless. Resources appear scarce. And there is always the sense that nature itself is watching every move James makes. But perhaps the most interesting detail is how carefully the trailer hides its biggest story reveals. We are shown pieces of the journey, but never the complete picture. Certain scenes appear disconnected at first glance, yet they likely fit together in ways that will only make sense once audiences see the full film. This approach creates suspense because it forces viewers to fill in the gaps themselves. Another major talking point surrounding the movie is its impressive cast. While Brad Pitt naturally receives most of the attention, the supporting cast could play a much larger role than many people expect. J.K. Simmons brings a presence that immediately raises curiosity. Whenever an actor of his caliber joins a project like this, audiences know there is usually more to the character than first impressions suggest. Anna Lambe's involvement also adds another layer of mystery. The trailer reveals very little about how these characters connect to James' journey, which only increases speculation about their importance to the overall story. And this is where things become even more intriguing. Many survival thrillers focus entirely on physical danger, but Heart of the Beast appears to be balancing action with emotional storytelling. The trailer repeatedly shifts between moments of intense tension and moments of quiet reflection. This combination suggests that the filmmakers want audiences to care about the people involved, not just the dangers surrounding them. That emotional focus may end up being the movie's greatest strength. Viewers are not simply being asked to watch a man survive impossible odds. They are being invited to understand why survival matters to him in the first place. What is waiting for him if he makes it home? What unfinished business still exists in his life? And what kind of person will he become if he survives this ordeal? As the trailer reaches its final moments, the feeling of uncertainty becomes stronger than ever. Questions continue to build. The crash remains mysterious. James' past remains largely hidden. The full significance of Odin's role is still unknown, and the people who may eventually cross paths with James remain surrounded by secrecy. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Heart of the Beast is setting up a story that goes far beyond action and adventure. It is building towards something personal, emotional, and potentially heartbreaking. And if the trailer is any indication, the most powerful moments may not come from the dangers lurking in the wilderness, but from the truths James Belmont will be forced to confront before his journey finally comes to an end. And once those truths begin to surface, everything we think we know about this story could change completely.